tonight in this live stream. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Brittany. I go by Dandelion's Wish. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm here with a very talented panel of cosplayers and photographers alike. We'll be discussing cosplay, photo shoots, and expectations tonight, so we're hoping to go over just a few different topics. So let me introduce our panel. First is Anna Fisher.
Hi, I'm Anna. What was there supposed to be more?
Anna, do you want to say a few words about, your photography? Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Brittany. I go by Dandelion's Wish. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm here with a very...
you got to close the YouTube
yeah, I got it. There we go.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so moving on. Also joining us tonight is Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben, also known as Beathy Online. I am a cosplay photographer in Australia, Sydney, Australia. I've been doing this for about, I don't know, too long, like 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, that's it. I'm here to share my opinions on this particular topic.
Thank you, Ben. We also have Daryl.
Hello, everybody. I am Daryl. I am from BGC Studios, always known as Big Gay Zebras, and I've been shooting for about 7 years now, and I am also here to express my opinion.
Awesome. Joining us from the cosplayer side of the panel is Johnny.
Hi, Johnny. Junkers isn't here. He's really the star of the show. I've been cosplaying for the past 3 years or so, and I make stuff and do things. I make cosplay and cosplay accessories.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. Also joining us tonight is Elysium.
Hey, what up, everybody? This is Kay of Elysium Entertainment, and I take pictures, and yeah, I like to take pictures.
Come on,
no, all right, all right.
Come on, man.
So I've done this for about a couple years, and I started out doing pictures of like convention coverage, and ever since I started working with some very talented people. They increased my vision and therefore, expanded the capabilities of which, I believe I should aim for. And so now I'm trying to, just do more artistic things. So you don't necessarily see me like snapping pictures all the time, but I'm trying to like do like these crazy composites and whatnot.
Okay, thank you for that 10-minute dissertation on your artistic presence. On the cosplay side, we also have Lindsay.
Hey, I'm Lindsay. I've been cosplaying, going to conventions since 1999, so a long freaking time. And I also work as a professional makeup artist, so I kind of do both things in the aspect, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. And we also have Vince with us tonight.
Howdy, everybody. I'm Vince, better known online as Darkane Multimedia. I've been in the con scene now for about a decade and shooting for about the past 7 years and traveling all over the country and even parts outside of the country a little bit now to do photography for everybody and just trying to have a good old time while doing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vince. We have one more cosplayer joining us shortly. That'll be Monica Lee. And last but not least, as I said, my name's Brittany. I go by Dandelion's Wish. I've been cosplaying for 11 years, and I decided to have this video discussion because I have a lot of cosplay friends and a lot of photographer friends, and I feel like there's been a lot of animosity in the community in terms of I feel cosplayers and photographers are coming from two different places when they're doing these photo shoots. So I was kind of hoping to give both sides the chance to speak, on what they're trying to accomplish, when we schedule these photo shoots together. So starting on the cosplay side, I would like to ask Lindsay, when you're reaching out to a photographer and scheduling a photo shoot, what are you looking for? What are your hopes? What are your expectations for that photo shoot?
I generally go into researching the photographers first, and seeing who I want to work with, and then I kind of outreach to those people and see if they want to work with me, because it's a two-way street. And then, you know, I talk to them ahead of time always about expectations, like you said, about like what I want to do with these photos. Like, do I want to sell prints of these photos, or do I want to just use them online, and make sure that the photographer is okay with that, and maybe get something in writing, because you know, you just never know with that kind of sort of thing. And so I just generally like try to have all my bases covered and just make sure I have a good, you know, rapport with the photographer. I mean, I'm lucky. A lot of the photographers I've worked with have been my friends. So I feel like I've been really lucky in that, but I know that's not always the case for everybody. So I always recommend that people just research and just make sure that your expectations are upfront about what you want to do with those photos, and make sure what they want to do with the photos in turn of you, you know. So that's always my recommendation.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome starting, Lindsay. I think definitely the communication is a huge aspect. So I'm going to turn this on photographers. You know, when you're reaching out to a cosplayer that you want to shoot with, Kay, you know, what are you expecting from a photo shoot? What are your expectations? You know, what are your hopes?
All right, so as of recent times, like, I'm trying to look for like inspiration and stuff like that, things that inspire me, and I want to shoot things that resonate with me. Because if I make something that resonates with me, then more than likely it'll probably resonate with like the community, people that are interested in the things that I do. So like, I'll look for like very elaborate like armor type of cosplays, or just like individuals that look like characters. Like, for example, Sarah Fong. I just saw her as that Yoko character, and so it's like that was one of my main goals, to capture her the way that I saw Yoko, and that's what I came up with. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to create, like, you know, something that I can put on my wall, a nice 30 by 20. It doesn't necessarily happen all the time, because either I didn't execute the shoot very well, or for whatever reason. And so sometimes I actually had to shoot that twice before I got that photo. So with me, you know, when people are working with me, it's not 100% that they might actually get a photo. You know what I mean? So I try to, like, from now on, tell people, hey, you might not get anything out of it, you know, if we work, but I'll try my best, right? So.
Okay, that's an excellent point. So I'm going to also reach out, photographers, Vince. You know, let's say you did a photo shoot and you had, you know, the best hopes for it, but maybe the photos didn't turn out. Do you feel like you should have to post them? Are you going to reach out to the cosplayer? You know, how would you handle that situation?
I'm a little bit different than everybody else in that I have basically two different classifications of photos that I do. So, like, if I'm really, really happy with a photo, yeah, it's going to get full processed, it's going to get published, it's going to go in my gallery, my portfolio, everything. But for, like, things I'm not so happy with, like, if things didn't work out, like, I try to be still a little bit more respectful, where I'm still putting out content, where I will actually label it as con coverage instead, and put the more casual shots, or the ones that didn't quite work out will go into what I call con coverage, and that'll be published under a different name rather than my primary name.
I think that's actually an excellent solution to that problem, Vince. You know, to kind of meet halfway with cosplayers. So cosplayers, Johnny, when you go into a photo shoot and maybe you feel like the photos aren't the best, you know, how are you going to handle that with your photographer in terms of posting the photos after?
Usually, if I get a photos that don't work out, I mean, it just sucks, but I'm not really going to post them. There's really no point. The whole point is to show something that's, you know, pretty, and something that shows off the costume, and if it doesn't meet its objective, there's really no point in wasting people's time looking at it, unfortunately.
I mean, would you try to reschedule the shoot? You know, would you?
Yeah,
Sorry,
of course. I mean, unless, you know, if there just wasn't like chemistry between myself and the photographer, maybe probably not. But if it was just, you know, just the bad lighting that day, or, you know, we get kicked out of a location, I'm sure everyone's had that happen before. But, you know, of course, you know, working out something else is always an option.
Awesome. I think it's important, obviously, for both sides sometimes maybe it doesn't work out on the photographer side, and sometimes it doesn't work out on the cosplayer side. So maybe reaching out together is important. Daryl, it looked like you had something to add to that.
Well, the way that I set up shoots is probably quite different from a lot of people. I actually select locations before I select cosplays, and I'm very particular. So when it comes to trying to find something and finding an exact time of where light is going to fall on that location, I spend a great deal of time finding a location and then trying to find a cosplay to match it. So I'm very, very, very keen on speaking with the cosplayers when I'm creating projects with them. I believe in really big collaborations with them. The photograph is a collaboration. I don't really release many photographs. Like when I do a shoot, it might be a 14-hour shoot, and there might be one photo that comes out of it. So just wanted to express that. That's all.
No, thank you. I think that's a greater topic, because photographers in post, how much time goes into this post processing? Anna, how much time do you usually use? And Ben, I'll get to you next.
Before that, I wanted to actually hear from Beefy for a second, because I feel like all of us, he probably has the leanest actual image publishing to time shooting ratio.
Would you like to share your secrets with us, Ben, on your process?
Yeah, sure. By the way, there's something I got to mention firstly that's not related to this. To our viewers, we're going to have a Q&A session near the end of this panel. So you can put your comments on the YouTube page. I'm not sure if that was mentioned. I don't think it was. So comments, YouTube page, we will answer them at the end. Anyway, back to the topic. So Anna, you're suggesting that I churn out photos quickly after
I'm suggesting the opposite. I'm suggesting that you churn out less photos.
Yeah. So Anna's completely right. I really don't post that many pictures, and this is due to the fact that I see anything I put out. That's my portfolio. It has to be my best, I actually talked to Eric from Big White Bazooka about this because we share the same mindset. Is that we have to put up something that's maybe a B lowest, anything below a B or an 8 out of 10 or whatever just doesn't get shared. It just doesn't go anywhere because that has, it's going to have my name attached to it. That's me, and I set a really high level of standard for myself. Yeah. And that's the reason why if I do a shoot with people I know, like for instance Yasmin Arslan, she's one of my close friends here. She's a really great cosplayer. When I shoot with her, she knows maybe she'll just get one photo, and she's cool with that, But so when I shoot with someone that doesn't really know me that well, I do mention this first, straight off. I'm gonna work my ass off to try and get maybe 1 or 2 photos out. But on those photos, I will spend maybe a few hours, just processing them for a while, just to get them just right, So yeah, but I do mention this straight away, so people aren't gonna be all like, "Where's my photos?"
And then since you're over in Australia, we don't see you as much. How much shooting do you do? Like, is it 1-to-1? Like every time we see a photo, you've done a shoot, or are you doing shoots that we're not seeing because you don't feel great about them?
Yeah. Okay. So looks like Monica Lee has just joined us. Hello, Monica. It's okay. Monica's here. Everything.
Wow. Should I have a cool helmet on too? What the hell, Johnny?
Back to what Anna was saying though.
Sorry.
Are there photos that sort of aren't released? Yes, there are. There was actually a shoot I did with one of my best friends here and his girlfriend, and a lot of those photos didn't sort of get released because they weren't up to my level of my standard. They just weren't up there, and it did cause some difficulties, but because some people they can't see it from my point of view, no matter how I try to word it, And now I'm gonna try and I might be talking about something that's really controversial here, but I have to put it out there. And this is really just me. This may not apply to any of the other photographers here.
I'm going to actually agree with Beefy because I'm with him when it comes to setting a standard. again, it's all about researching the photographer and what type of photos they actually release.
Yeah, that's right.
If they're posting like 10 photos from a shoot, awesome. You're probably guaranteed to get a photo from this person. But I've had many shoots where I'm unhappy with a photograph and it doesn't see the light of day in public. It's just the way that it works when it comes
and again, the reason why this particular girl didn't get any pictures is because her performance wasn't up to that level, you know. And I'm willing to help a person get to that level, you know, and how to sort of, I guess, look more relaxed, less stiff, and all that, you know. But if it doesn't work out, then the photos just aren't going to be released. And sometimes I have cosplayers badgering me and, you know, come on, give me the photos, and I'm just like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, you know.
I mean,
doesn't happen.
I think that's an important thing to cover. You know, photographers, of course, you have to protect your artistic integrity. So if you're not going to give out the photos, you know, do you politely message people? Like
Yes, I do.
Okay. Everybody else, are you messaging people? You know, that you're not going to put out photos? I think that's an important, you know, kind of respect.
Wait, who talks first?
He's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Alright, so, like, I'm not necessarily, like, really good with that. As sort of like, alright, so because, like, I've been growing so much. I like I tell you, like, I'm an amateur at this, right? Like, I've only done this for a couple of years, so it's like I'm learning. You know what I mean? On this year, I just started going on this convention binge where I've just been going to convention, and, you know, trying to play World of Warcraft and Raid and trying to do pictures at the same time. This wasn't working. So eventually, you know, I stopped raiding for a little bit at San Diego Comic-Con, and, you know, I have, like, this epiphany, like, yo, I can't, like, keep up with this. So, like, you know, I posted a message on my wall. I'm pretty sure it didn't reach all the people that follow the page, but, like, yeah, I'm not necessarily going to be able to deliver, you know, everybody's image, you know, from now on. Like, I'm going to try to be better about it, you know, from this point on, though.
I mean, I think that's great, but I do think maybe just as I'm going to speak as a cosplayer right now. You know, and if I did an elaborate shoot and reached out with you, you know, if you're not going to post photos, like, I completely respect that, but maybe it would be nice to get a personal.
Yeah, no,
I know shot. Yeah, no, I mean, so that's great. But I think that's one of the touchier subjects, you know, because if you're shooting casually, you know, maybe you feel like you don't owe anybody something, you know. Oh, they were in their costume anyway, they weren't there for me. But I think the communication between, you know, both sides is important, like in terms of photos or even maybe like rearranging a photo shoot. But I want to aim a message at Monica, who was so nice to join us.
Sorry,
Monica,
I was eating tacos.
Monica is eating tacos. Monica,
so good.
when you are scheduling a photo shoot with a photographer, you know, as a cosplayer, what are you looking for in a photographer?
Usually it just happens to be a thing where a photographer is like, hey, I'm at so-and-so convention, let's do a shoot. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And nowadays it tends to be where we're trying to shoot a convention, and so the kind of thing that I'm looking for, I guess, is to make it look like it's fitting for the scene, and maybe not so much at a convention, you know, like I don't want like a Naruto to be like walking in the background of my photo or something.
Agreed.
So just, I'm like, as long as it looks good, I think I'm easily impressed. But
That's awesome. But I think that brings on another great topic, photographers. You know, when you're shooting, it's obviously not easy to shoot at conventions. Like, how many of you are going, you know, outside of the conventions to shoot cosplayers? Anna, do you want to take that question?
Well, outside during the convention or outside?
A little bit of both. You know, like photo shoots.
I feel like both are really hard, actually. I think that, you know, at a convention, there's, like, a lot of challenges. You're kind of limited in a lot of ways by the city you're in.
So, Johnny wasn't getting enough attention for his helmet.
Johnny just died.
Damn, you got some cobwebs back there. Damn.
Please excuse our technical difficulties, everyone.
like it has computer.
Johnny wasn't getting enough attention for his helmet, so I'll aim the next question at Johnny. But Anna,
You need to
please.
turn off my fans. I have to close the window.
I was listening, Anna.
Okay. Oh wait, we should do shout outs to Axon who's in the comments. Hey Axon, I see you. We're paying attention to you and you love it.
Comments? Everyone's in the comments. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Anna,
I don't
please
see any
finish
comments.
that.
Oh yes, so there's a lot of complications. Like I feel like you know, if you're shooting at like say like PAX East, it's great if you're gonna shoot Mass Effect, but if you're gonna shoot like anything else, you're just in like a giant glass area of the city.
And what
you
are
know?
some of the challenges of that? Like, do you have challenges with lighting, with
lighting, with like locations, with crowding, you know, so, and it also like with the compliancy of the cosplayers, like straight up like cosplayers don't want to like walk 5 blocks in heels after they've been wearing something for like 10 hours and it's 100 degrees.
Preach.
I don't blame you. That's like a real thing.
We're going to hear from the cosplayers. Okay. Lindsay, you want to chime in with that statement about heels?
Well, I'm pretty lazy in general, so I generally don't do shoots at conventions because I kind of reserve my conventions for partying and having fun with my friends. So I like to do photo shoots another time separately, like designate a day for that thing. I'm different in that regard. That's not true for everybody. I'm just saying for me in particular. I like to do my shoots, but obviously that's not always, you don't always have that, you know, luxury. So, I mean, I understand that some people have to do convention photo shoots, but I like to just, I'm just one of those people that's like so lazy that I'm like, I'm not walking 5 blocks in heels. I'm not going to go somewhere else in the convention. I want to be in the convention and be having fun. This is what I'm here to do, so I'll just do it later. So I might be different. Like Monica, I know is different. She does a lot of photo shoots at conventions. And so
I think it tends to be a lot of photographers are not in your area, you know. So like Anna, we only get to meet at like, you know, conventions we're at together, you know.
Right, and that's why like I think the only times I've ever shot with Anna has been like in a convention like setting, which you know sucks because like you said, it's not always like it's kind of hard to make it look like it's not with an ugly carpet or like you know bad chandeliers or something in the background. You know, it's kind of hard to hide that.
It's like you could always tell like what convention you're at by the carpets.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's true, but like I said, I'm an anomaly in that regard because I'm really lazy and I hate going anywhere for photo shoots. So ask Monica.
No, that's a great, honest cosplayer point of view.
Cos mom ain't got time.
I'm lazy.
Ladies?
I mean, I'll add to that with the majority of my shoots, again, is a collaboration where I am taking cosplayers to locations, and it has nothing to do with conventions. Except for an example, I shot with Kirsten last year at DragonCon. I literally put her in my car, and we went to some nasty place and took some pretty cool pictures, and I brought her back. And cosplayers willing to do that are awesome. Totally awesome, willing to hop into a car and go someplace cool during a convention. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that I do.
No, and that's an awesome. You know, if you have a good relationship with someone, I think that's a great starting point because as cosplayers, yeah, we don't want to go places in our heels necessarily. Like I think that was a great interjection from Lindsay because it's just honest. Sometimes wearing a costume can be very taxing, and it can be very cumbersome to walk around in. And I feel, you know, sometimes just photographers are like, oh, I found a really great patch of grass. Anna's really great at finding a great patch of grass. And saying, you know, come over here. And sometimes it's not as easy.
Daryl thinks that's really funny.
Does anybody want to interject a comment?
Yeah, I've got something to add to this. So, if I'm at a con these days, okay, I'll start over. So 3 years ago, I used to just go to cons and just do photo shoots there, you know. And the backgrounds, like as time went on, you know, when I did on-location shoots, I was like, man, this shit looks way better, you know. So nowadays, when I'm at a con, I will only shoot with people if they're from a different state, and I'm not going to be able to shoot with them anytime soon, and they're on my like A-list, because I have like certain people that I just have to shoot, you know, that aren't in Sydney, you know, which is where I am. And for instance, like my friend Yasmin was also at the last convention. She was wearing a beautiful dress, right? I told her, yeah, I'm probably not going to shoot this, not right now. I said, what we'll do is in a few weeks' time, whenever, we'll go out to the forest or something, and take some much better photos there, So that's how I do things pretty much.
That's what I prefer too.
On that same note, though, talking with different photographers around the scene and the different cosplayers, the definition of a photo shoot itself actually changes between person and person. And right now, we're dealing with like in this chat room, we have like 3 like master photographers. We got Beathy, you got Daryl, you got Kay in here. And like the 3 of them love to do a lot of the compositing and layering and all this other stuff, and it goes beyond photo shoot and into like another realm of art beyond photo shoots. But going back to like the more casual, traditional photo shoots at conventions, another great photographer in the scene came up with this really awesome concept several years ago, and I never really understood what he meant until this year when I started doing it more myself, and he stopped calling them photo shoots entirely. He relabeled them to vacation photos. And that one in itself, it's just like, oh, it's just a label, right? It's just a label. But it really changes the mode or like the mood and the tone of the interaction between the photographer and the cosplayer at the same time. And as of like the past couple months, I found myself going down the same path where I'm not really calling them photo shoots anymore. They're just like, me getting together, hanging out with friends, and taking photos at the same time. But the photos have now become a secondary process rather than the primary, and it changes this whole expectation of what is being expected of me and what I'm expecting of them, because it no longer becomes about, this argument or this fight over who gets what with the photos, what's going to happen with the photos. It's like all this talk about the photos, and instead the photos become secondary, and having fun together becomes the primary, and it's really changed the way I view and handle convention scenes entirely now.
Yeah, I think that's actually an awesome kind of solution to the pressure, because I know as a cosplayer, I want photos. Like, that's it. That's like the end of the line. And working with Anna, like, I will legit hustle her. I'll be like, so we just shot. Like, am I gonna see these? This week, next week? So I think having
Anna, those Dragon Con pictures.
I know, didn't I give you one though? I gave you that one of you. There's like not a cosplayer in this chat.
Anna, I'll edit your photos. I'll edit your photos.
But I think that's kind of the major question sometimes with cosplayers is like, am I going to get my photos? So, I mean, although it wouldn't work for everyone, I do think it's a great solution to post, some of the finals and maybe some of like the B-sides. Anybody want to interject to that?
Yeah, I want to interject. Can I? Oh, sorry.
No,
Go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
She's drunk.
All right, so I feel like, am I going? Or is Beathy going?
Right, you're going.
Go ahead, I'll go after you.
Okay. So, yeah, no, I feel like I'll just be straight, like, you're just not going to get photos sometimes. I mean, like, that's just the thing, is that I feel like if you wanted, like, the B-side photos, this is why I sometimes feel frustrated that there doesn't seem to be, always with cosplayers, a division between different photographers. And that, like, Brittany, like, you know me, like, we're going to shoot, and then you're going to get, like, 3 photos, and then you'll bug me for, like, 4 months by, like, coming over my house every day, and you'll get, like, 2 more.
It works. Anna, move your camera so it's not, like, so in your chestal area.
I'm not complaining.
How's that?
Okay, thank you. Carry on.
Okay. So, I mean, like, the truth is that, like, what I would say is that there needs to be, like, more awareness of different, like, photographer styles. Like, I sometimes feel kind of a little bit marginalized by cosplayers, and that they're like, oh, I need a photographer, but it's not, like, a specific photographer, it's, like, whatever photographer. Are you okay? You're just cracking up over there. And then, like, what happens is that maybe they're not as familiar with, like, what to expect from the photographer that they're working with, or they don't make the best decisions for what their intended outcome is. Because if you need, like, 30 photos to like send to whatever to post like one a day for a month. Like, I'm not the photographer you call. So I sort of wish that people had a better idea of what they were getting into. Sometimes I feel like there'd be like a lot less disappointment if there was like more planning
I feel
about
like
those strategies.
yeah, I'll kind of add to that with cosplayers out there listening. If you're walking up to random guys with camera with like a card that you've never seen before, that's probably the danger zone, because you're probably never going to see those images. And I think that's where the pain point is you don't know who these photographers are, and there's lots of them sprouting up, and I mean a lot of them. Just random people with cameras and some really funky looking business card and saying, hey, let's go take some pictures. So I think you should, if you really want some photographs and you want some good photographs, I'm going to say it again, just do a little research. Look for who's going to go. I mean, we have cosplayphotographers.net now, where there are photographers that say they're going to conventions. Look at the list that's on that, and start contacting them. Say, hey, I'm going to be wearing this. Do you want to schedule an hour away and do something? So that's just a suggestion. That's all.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
agree.
I've actually got something to pose. It's more of a question to cosplayers, I guess, in this chat right now. But before that, I want to mention something else. As a photographer I will not name, but he's so afraid of the backlash he might get from people not getting photos that he preferred to be anonymous, unknown. And he would just say, hi, how are you? Let's take some photos. And then if he knew it didn't go well, he wouldn't, after the shoot, he wouldn't tell them who he really is, basically. He would just be like, have a nice day. But anyway, that's what he does because of this whole fear of people just nagging him and, and his inability to release bad photos. But anyway, the question to cosplayers, and this has a lot to do with expectations. And this is something that's been a bit of an issue for a while, but it's been really like spoken about under the table, like it's never been spoken about this openly. Some photographers that may be decent or may be good, they sometimes upload photos of you that may not be that flattering, or where they photoshopped you in a really obvious and bad way, like your facial structure or things like that. I mean, Monica, how do you feel about that, for instance? And I'd like to know what Lindsay thinks as well afterwards.
And Johnny,
my input.
Johnny doesn't need no
what
Photoshop.
You said earlier, it seems weird to me that if for me, I'm friends with as my photographers, that it should be something set these guidelines before, where you're like, okay, going into the shoot, will you show me all the photos before you choose the ones, because maybe you'll choose one and put hours of editing into it, and like me as the cosplayer, I think I look like poop, but you as the photographer don't think that because you're not in the mind of the cosplayer, you don't know the certain features they may not like. And it's also like, I feel like it should just be a straight up thing, like, hey, I have all these conventions I need to edit for, and it may take a while, blah, 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 so know to expect this amount of photos, It seems like this weird, like, constant miscommunication that, like, between cosplayers and photographers about, like, what to expect in the end. And I feel like if it's an issue that maybe people should just be like, cosplayers and photographers should be like, what should I expect out of this photo shoot?
Yeah.
I agree, but wait, getting back to the photoshopping and editing of cosplayers, like Lindsay and Johnny, how would you feel if you got back photos, where you were obviously retouched?
Well, I don't mind retouching as long as we kind of discuss it. And I expect, retouching is just a part of photography, and often I don't see it as an insult or anything like that, unless they like retouch me to have a different head on my body or like something crazy, like obviously within reason. But I have been lucky. I've never had anyone retouch me or do anything like really just disrespectful to my image, you know, and like make me look weird or anything like that. But like, for example, I've worked with Daryl for a couple times, and I know the first time we worked together, he posted the pictures without showing them to me first, and I was like, ah, because it was just nerve-wracking. And so it was fine. It all worked out fine. But like the next time, he remembered that I kind of freaked out, and he respected that, and because we had a communication. And he showed me all the photos of my Maleficent photos, for example. And so he showed them to me ahead of time and was like, hey, I just want to like, get your approval, you know, and make sure you like it. And I was like, they look great. Let's post them. So, you know, it's like Monica said it perfectly. I mean, it's about communication and expectations and just knowing what to expect. I mean, you can't just show up at a photo shoot and be like, let's do this thing, you know, and like not talk about what you want to do. And the end result, it's not just about the photo shoot, it's about after the photo shoot and what you want to do with the photos, what he wants to do with the photos or she wants to do with the photos. You know, it's about the whole situation. You need to like talk about the whole process from start to end.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Wait,
Go
from
ahead.
the cosplayer side, Johnny or Monica, do you have anything else to add to that? Because I think the photoshopping is like a really important issue, especially in terms of like body image. Johnny?
I've had it happen a handful of times, and I'm usually like I'm good enough friends with the photographer parentheses photographers that I could be like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with this photo. I think I look, you know, dumb. My, you know, thighs look fat. Whatever. Can you take it down? And they're usually pretty respectful about it because, you know, I know the things I don't like about myself in a photo or in a cosplay. So I'll be like, watch out for those things. But as a photographer, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that at all, you know? So I think it's just about communication.
No,
Yeah.
that's an excellent point. I know when shooting, I'm like, oh my god, don't shoot me from below, like my ass looks huge or something.
Yeah.
Just a quick note on that real quick. Something I started doing a couple years back and everyone seems to love is that before I even start touching photos, before I even start looking at the photos myself, I copy them to my computer and I'll immediately export out a contact sheet and hand out the contact sheet to the cosplayers. So they'll get the first look at the photos before I even start doing anything. And I've been recommending more and more photographers do this because that helps keep the lines of communication open. It helps keeps the collaboration open. So the cosplayers, you don't have to worry about that like, oh crap moment, like I don't like that photo after it already goes up. You've already looked at the photos even before they touch Photoshop, and you can even give notes on like, oh well, this looks good, but just change this one little thing and go work with it.
I think
Anna,
Kay,
you're
by the way,
raising
is
your
really
hand
itching to
twice.
speak. Kay has been twitching and having an epileptic fit for like about
Okay,
2 minutes
you
now.
go first, and I want to
Yeah.
go.
Okay,
Yo, yeah.
Anna first and then Kay.
Okay, wait. So can I get on the way opposite end of the spectrum than Vincent and say that like I am not super comfortable with giving cosplayers first looks, and I think part of that is that very often cosplayers will like fall in love with a photo that I don't like, or they'll like love a bunch of photos of themselves that I'll feel like while look perfectly attractive are not interesting enough as photographs. And so I don't want to like have them be like, oh, I love how my face looks in this photo, and then me be like, well, you know, like this is an acceptable but not particularly interesting like photograph as a photograph, and then like sort of be stuck in that struggle. I don't know, but also like I'm like 100% legit crazy. So,
I can vouch for this, everyone.
yeah, like I'm just like I don't like that's the whole thing is that like I think that like cosplayers should know what they're getting into when they're working with me is that I'm just like a crazy artist or whatever where I'm like, oh, this is just like about some sort of exploratory process and like maybe we're gonna take some photos and maybe we're just gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and like in a circle.
Sounds
Like-
about right.
So Anna's gonna have 0 cosplayers asking her to shoot at the next
But, like,
convention.
also, I feel like there's an advantage to crazy too. Like I'll definitely like take it places other people won't. Where like at Atacana is like, hey, does anyone want to take photos underwater with a plastic camera? Like that was good times. But it's not like it doesn't always work. Like you like pay your money and you take your chance. Whereas I feel like Vincent probably has like a way more consistent output and vision than I do. So like I feel like he's in a better position to make that kind of offer.
My consistency is horrible.
Hey, wait, I'm raising my hand really quick. So guys, we have 5 more minutes until the Q&A. So
Oh my
does
God.
anybody?
We
should
can
totally
stretch
talk
it. We
before
can
you
stretch it. Come on.
You can stretch
Okay.
it.
Kay wants to talk. Let Kay
Yeah,
talk.
poor Kay.
Yeah.
Talk, say stuff.
Okay.
Kay's like zoned out. I think he's playing like World of Warcraft now.
Is he
Kay, are you
frozen?
Hey, come on, man. It's just
I'm
free to
frozen.
talk.
Lord.
He's not.
Oh, he left.
Oh, technical difficulties.
He'll rejoin.
Shit.
He'll rejoin.
Okay, please excuse our technical difficulties. Kay will hopefully be with us. Does anybody else have something they want to interject?
Well,
I just wanted to add. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, Lindsay, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, again, back to like what I originally said. If you research your photographer, you should know what to expect. I would know, working with any of these photographers here, did not expect 20 photos, or to maybe not see them at all, because I mean, I would not ask that of anyone. I would not expect, and I mean, I don't know everybody here, but I would not expect to see all the contact photos beforehand. I expect the photographer to always pick out their favorites and show me those favorites, and that's it. And I mean, that's what I expect. And I mean, I know a lot of new cosplayers, they're just so excited, and they want all their photos, and they're so happy. And I'm like, you just can't work with top cosplay photographers and expect that. I mean, you just can't. I mean, you're going to get one or two photos.
It's an excellent point, especially for, maybe like a novice or someone new to the scene. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Lindsay. If we have any, cosplayers who've been cosplaying for under a year or two, I mean, that's just an excellent point. Not to be discouraged if you don't get photos. Speaking as a cosplayer, like, maybe I feel like, oh my god, like, my butt looked so big, they're not even posting any photos, or like, I totally had pimples that day, and like, they're not posting any photos of me. But like,
I've got something to add to this, Brittany. This is back again to that shoot with this girl, right? And what I had found out is because I didn't deliver any photos, she actually thought that she was unattractive. However, I find her personally very good looking. She's a beautiful girl,
Breaking hearts everywhere.
But it was her performance that just wasn't up to that level, It's all about the performance with me, not so much the outer, the physical, just the way they look,
So wait,
the quality of the cosplay and the performance.
I want to interject. I'm raising my hand. I want to interject something there. Ben, you're saying that when we shoot as you as cosplayers, that maybe it's beneficial, like, to practice, to pose, as a character. Yeah. Practice. I'm just saying this right now as an open address to cosplayers, to become more, comfortable in front of the camera, to practice in front of the mirror. It may feel dorky.
Every time I'm drawing my
at the end of the
hair, I always
day,
use the drawing hair.
at the end of the day, you're going to know how to pose.
Brittany, I honestly think, though, if I didn't, with popularity, which is what a lot of the photographers in here have, also, like, some cosplayers can get a bit nervous, because they're like, oh my god, I'm working with this person, I'm not good enough, they're thinking I'm not good enough, this and that, but honestly, I will work with anyone, so long as if you perform well, you look great on camera, and you just have fun,
So I think you're saying, like, have a camera presence. Correct?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Loosen up is the word. Loosen up. Loosen up.
All right, Kate. Go, Kate. Go.
Listen, that's something that just doesn't happen in 5 minutes. Like, that's something that happens over time. Like, it's not like we all picked up a camera and was like, oh, we beast. You know what I mean? I mean, if somebody doesn't have it, they just don't have it, and they just have to build that up over time. Practice in the mirror, do selfies.
I just spat out my water, by the way.
I mean, so yeah, that's what that is. There's a lot of things I've been wanting to touch on, but I totally forgot because my computer crashed. But no, we definitely need to be better about, like, the hand raising and stuff.
Yes.
I'm raising my hand now.
Yo, I don't know who's watching hand raises, but yeah, gotta get on that.
Damn, Kay been wanting to talk.
Yeah, poor Kay.
So,
so Q&A is going to open soon. So if viewers out there, start writing down questions. I'll be looking at them, and I'll be popping them in here and there while we keep talking about stuff.
oh wait, so I want to talk to cosplayers actually about shooting with bad or lesser-known cosplay photographers. And I want to actually say that they should do this.
Anna,
So this,
I'm gonna
so
cut you off
Anna
right
is
quick.
putting out
No,
cosplay
hold
advice
on.
right now.
No. Like, nobody's bad. Like, that's the thing. Like, we
Okay, so let's
cannot.
talk about less experienced cosplay photographers. Or like
Anybody
maybe
at-
we
cosplay
should do with
photographers.
them.
Anybody
Hand
at
raising.
whatever level they
I think
are.
it's valuable, actually,
Okay,
to shoot with photographers at a variety of levels of development and skill levels, because I think that you'll get different things out of different photographers, certainly, and especially, like, I think part of the problem we have in our little discussion here is that we have a group of relatively well-established photographers who may not have to cater to the cosplayers' wishes as much in order to continue to shoot them. But I think that there are photographers who are earlier in their like professional development who probably can't be like, "Fuck you, bitch! You're not getting no photos," because then that cosplayer won't shoot with them anymore.
Okay, wait, this is it. I'm sorry, I'm interjecting here. So I'm going to turn that back around and say, cosplayers, maybe you're hot shit, maybe you're K and you're beasting out. You should take a chance, though, on maybe some new cosplayers. How else are cosplayers going to develop their skills in front of the camera and develop their presence? You know, if you're not willing to take a chance on us.
I take chances, just putting it out there. But also, I gotta say, I'm gonna be interrupting now and then rudely because I am seeing some really good questions here.
Oh yeah.
So if you're cool, I'm gonna pop
Go
the
ahead.
first one. This is a really good one. Erica Greenwald asks, what are the different opinions here on paid shoots, either paying the photographer or model? When should someone pay for a shoot?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to interject that we, you know, if there's enough viewers, we would actually like to do a whole, you know, different web discussion on that. Tonight we are kind of covering unpaid shoots because I feel like that's a completely separate entity from paid shoots. But really quickly, you know, if somebody wants to interject right now, you know, what's their opinion on, you know, paid shoots?
Everyone's here. Let's talk about it now. we're all here. We're all here.
No, I agree, but I feel like it could be longer than a 5-minute discussion, honestly.
Should this be a different sort of? Should this be saved for a different discussion later? Because it is a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I think we're opening a whole nother can of worms with the paid versus unpaid photo shoots. So I'd really like us to cover that in the next video. So everyone, please stay tuned for our next, you know, webinar series, whatever, where we will be going over paid shoots. I just feel like it's way too big a can of worms to open.
So Psycho Sting here asks, what do other photographers think about Beatty's ass photos? I want to hear females' answers. So I don't know. That's just there.
Wait, are we seeing photos of your ass or photos of other people's
No, these pictures where
Monica.
I don't know.
Everybody, Monica wants to talk. She has her hand raised. Go, Monica.
This was to address what Anna and Beatty were talking about earlier, in terms of who do you shoot with, whether it's, you know, photographers or cosplayers that may not be well known, whatever that means. I think their work should speak for themselves. When someone asks me to shoot, the first thing I do is usually go look at the portfolio and see if I want to shoot with them. Same with a cosplayer, you know, like no one's forcing you to shoot with them. No one's, you know, it's just check the person's work. If you want to work with them, if you don't, you know, it's up to you. I don't think it has to be anything with that person's famous, I had to shoot with them, you know.
No, I agree. But wait, we digress. What was that comment about, Ben, from the channel?
It's just, in Australia, I'm known as the butt guy because I do this thing.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a stupid question. So no.
No, it's not a stupid question. It's not a stupid
If you want to talk about, like, you know, the sexualization of cosplay and stuff, you can get into that, BP. You should that can of worms on.
Let's move on to the next one.
We're digressing right now. We're digressing.
Touch the pose.
I've got a really good one here actually. Implicit asks, I guess anyone can answer this one. What was your biggest fear in, getting into cosplay or photography?
Cosplayers, please chime in. Johnny, we haven't heard from you like all night. Do you want to tell us what's your biggest fear when you entered cosplay?
Oh man, probably the biggest fear that you have is that you spend all your time working on something and then it just looks like ass, and then you just go out there and then just people freaking hate it. Yeah. And that's really the biggest fear. And even if you churn out something, you know, just barely above par, if you have that high chemistry with the photographer, you can make it look really outstanding. That's what I've seen. Even something, because I did that basketball shoot a while ago with just like shorts and a tank top, and I wasn't particularly happy with it. But I mean, just the fact that I was shooting with a photographer that I liked and that I was comfortable with, we were able to really express the character. So that, I guess, I went on some wild ass tangent. I'm just bottled up here with freaking thoughts.
No, Johnny, that was actually excellent. I think that's a really good point in terms of chemistry. Beefy, you're raising your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I am. My biggest fear in shooting cosplay photography is when I shoot with somebody that is just pretty well known, and it's someone I haven't shot with before. I freak the fuck out. Like I get worried that I won't be able to perform. I have this fear. I have this thought that I think I suck, when I'm shooting. And when I come home and I see the photos and it's like all of them, I'm like, oh my god, these suck, And that's a really scary moment. And then I go through the photos and I'm like, oh wait, hold on, okay, I can maybe work with this. And then I work on a photo for 2 hours. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not so bad, But that whole experience is actually pretty scary for me. So that's just me. I think Vince has got his hand.
Vince really wants to go.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as Beefy, really.
The biggest fear, and this is honestly the only fear I've ever really had with cosplay photography, is the social anxiety of initially asking somebody for a photo shoot. Like, it is always, like, heart-pounding. It's like, are they just going to flat-out reject me? Are they going to think I'm a horrible person? Like, is my portfolio good enough for them? And, like, I'm always just really scared, like, online or even worse, face-to-face. Like, even today, doing this for 7 years, I'm still afraid to ask somebody for a photo shoot. And that's something I hardly ever admit to anybody. Okay.
Deep
Anna?
secret.
Yeah.
Secret sharing. This is beautiful. Thank you, Vince. Yeah. Anna, you had your hand raised.
Oh, yeah. I want to jump in there with Vincent about, like, some of the social anxieties, because I think more than a lot of the photographers here, I do shoot randomly at cons all the time, and I walk up to strangers all of the time. And it's, like, it's so difficult, like, to hear, like, no. That can be really nerve-wracking, but, like, I feel like for me, like, the worst fear is, like, I don't know if you guys are ever here, but you're, like, shooting with a cosplayer and it's, like, not working, and, like, you're trying to communicate to them, like, it's just, like, not working, but they're, like, not getting it. That's, like, the worst moment for me, where I'm like, oh, maybe if you move your arm, and they're just, like, I don't know, like, when you don't have that connection, I'm always really worried about, like, that moment where you're, like, in the middle of a shoot and, like, you realize that the shoot is not happening or not unfolding correctly, but you're already sort of committed to it. You're already, like, in that space, in that time. For me, like, that's the hardest part.
Wait, sorry, Kay, I'm going to interject over you. Cosplayers. Sorry, Kay, you're next. Cosplayers, like, how do you feel about somebody posing you? If a photographer is like, oh, actually, could you turn? Is that helpful? Is that helpful?
Love it. Yeah, I think it's really helpful. I like it. And as long as they don't physically touch me. Don't physically touch me unless I really know you well. But, like, if they tell me, like, move your arm over here or do this, I'm grateful because I can't see what they're seeing. So I am grateful for that, help to know what they want to see. But I don't know, maybe that's just me.
The only thing I do when I sorry, Monica, I'll be real quick. When I physically, this is just what Lindsay said. When I do physically touch a cosplayer, I hold them by the shoulders, just to kind of rotate them, just to get the light right on the face. I tell them that before I do it.
You warn me first.
No, I tell them before I do it. Anyway, Monica, go ahead.
Usually for me, most of the photographers I shoot with, I know well enough that if they pose me or tell me to move, I'm cool with it. But if I'm, like, at a con and I'm posing for, like, a quick, like, haul photo and someone tells me how to pose, that's when I'm like, okay, buddy, this photo is taken in the hallway. I'm heading somewhere. This is not going to be something really great in your portfolio. It's fine. Like,
yeah, that's different. I totally agree with Monica.
Kay has his hand up. We should pay attention to him.
Oh, Kay's going to want to talk. Kay, go ahead.
Thank you. No, there is Katie Berry was saying that cosplayers aren't models most of the time and they lack experience. And I think that's something that we have to be aware of when working with people and trying to pose them and stuff like that. And that's another reason, that some photos just don't amount to anything. It's just a lack of experience on both ends.
On the cosplayer side?
On both
See, on
ends,
both
to be honest.
sides.
On both
Okay.
ends.
Thank
Like,
you.
see,
Just
I think,
clarifying.
yeah.
But wait, we digress. Ben, do you want to answer another question from the live stream from our viewers?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch here.
I
There's
want to
one
interject.
from.
I want to interject with the fear thing. Just one thing.
Fine, really
Go
quick.
ahead. I'll have a question after this.
I'll say right now, especially if there's photographers in the watching us right now, that I still have an awful fear with shooting, like Beatty said, shooting with famous cosplayers, because I have fucked up photo shoots with famous cosplayers, and I have fucked them up bad because I get nervous as hell. So I just wanted to say that is my fear, and it continues to be, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think
Go
the
ahead.
first time shooting is the word.
That's really good for mentioning that, man, because I think a lot of people out there, they don't know that we get fucking scared too, you know? Anyway, here's the next question from user Sexy Cosplay Girls. Nice name. This one is for the photographer. Sorry, I'm not picking these questions like in favor of, like I was saying. Anyway, this is one for the photographers. When you take photos of a cosplayer, what is your goal? Make the cosplayer look like the character, or make it look like someone dressed like the character? That's a really good question, I think.
That is a
Who
really
wants to
good
chime in on that?
Wait, what? I missed it.
I'll repeat it for Kate. I'll repeat it for Kate. When you take photos of a cosplayer, what is your goal? Make the cosplayer look like the character, or make it look like someone dressed like the character? There you go.
Go ahead, Vin.
Stand up already.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Vin.
So I'm gonna just admit that I'm completely different from everybody else, where I don't care about characters at all. I shoot based on the actual person's personality and what looks good for the environment that we're currently working in, and working within those limitations, and not really caring too much about the originality of a character, because I love looking at figurines and I love looking at movie posters, and almost all of those are always out of character from an original series.
That's a really interesting point of view, actually, because as a cosplayer, I would much rather look like my character than, look like me dressed up. But I think that's something you can discuss, with your photographer. But that was actually an excellent question. Thank you for whoever submitted that. Ben, do you want to read another question?
I'll actually just quickly say something about this particular question. I personally do a little bit of research on the character I'm shooting. I prefer shooting characters I know or like, that I'm a fan of, So I'm like, okay, I know exactly what to do. Anyway, I'm gonna look for another question here. This one's by Valerie T. Are there series or genres that you all avoid because of bad experiences of other photographers? And what would be and would you be willing to change your mind if a known cosplayer makes a costume for said series? Who wants to jump in on that?
Let me chime in on this one because it might be very obvious with what I shoot. I don't shoot anime. I feel like, as me, I cannot shoot anime. Like, I don't have a view for it. A lot of what you'll see in my portfolio is comics and video games. And I know it's not going to answer all of your question, but I feel like I can't shoot an anime character because of the way that I light and color things. So that's just my point of view on it.
I want to jump in on
go
that.
ahead.
I want to jump in on that. It doesn't, like, you can shoot anime characters. It all depends on, like, a friend of mine told me, matter of fact, his name is Jay Tablante, by the way. He was saying that, like, every time you
Jay's
take
probably
something.
in here. He's been tweeting me about
he's
this.
Yeah, he's in there.
What's up, Jay? What's up? I see you, man.
Yeah, he was saying that, like, every time you transfer something from a different medium, something is gained and something is lost. And sometimes, people design things and they try to get it exactly like how it looks on television or on the drawing, and that doesn't necessarily translate very well to real life. All these bold, loud, neon colors. Like, you see how they transform the X-Men to look more theatrical, you know what I mean, from, like, what they were. Like, you can shoot anime characters, they just have to, like, convey that character to where it looks, legitimate in real life.
Oh wait, can I say that it's totally bizarre that you're using Jay Tabliante's work specifically to discuss not making something like a series, because his work is so much about, like, capturing like the video.
Can you dumbass?
And we
Like,
No,
I feel like no photographer that is closer to the
digress.
flavor of the original medium than Jay.
We have 1 minute left, everyone.
Sorry.
So
We could go a little bit over. I've got another question here. By the way, there are two people. Kay, this is for you. Lilith Angel said, "Let Kay talk," and Sasha VB said, "Poor Kay, he's dying." Anyway, the next question is by Ito-chan60, and this one I'm going to actually shoot at the cosplayer, so any one of you can jump in on this. As someone who doesn't have a huge portfolio, how do you try and get more shoots?
That's an excellent question.
I can talk about that.
No, but I think
Let
this
Kay
is,
talk.
Like K
I
talk.
don't know.
Everyone just wants to see K. It should just be the K.
Look, just go to a whole bunch of conventions, and you'll run across somebody that sees something in you and wants to shoot you.
No, Kay. This is I'm pretty sure this is actually a photographer asking the question, because this is a regular of our videos. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a photographer.
Oh, that's even better. Like, I started doing this junk 2 years. All right, it's not junk, but whatever. I started doing this like 2 years, right? You know, I started off, had me a freaking umbrella and my camera, and I was going around just snapping whatever, right? I happened to run across like some very elaborate cosplays. Had no idea who the cosplayers were, right? Snapped them, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, you got such and such." I was like, "Who?"
But
Oh,
K
you
is
got such and such.
because
Who?
you're a genius. I don't think that'll work for everybody.
No, I'm not a
this
genius.
is not about who's a genius and who's not a genius.
Yeah, I'm not a genius. I just put in a whole lot of time and effort in trying to like get better. I'm just trying to make the next picture better than my last. That's all. But yeah,
So
you
wait.
get out there.
No, I just want to interject.
What is everyone? What's going on now?
I just want to interject from both sides. You know, if you don't have a huge portfolio, I think you have to spend extra time reaching out to people. You know, as a cosplayer who maybe doesn't have a lot of costumes or experience, you know, reach out to a few different people to see who's willing to shoot you at a convention. Or as a photographer, reach out to a few different people and maybe don't try to shoot, you know, the big names. Like, that's kind of a silly, you know, motivator anyway. You know, shoot, you know, the people who are, you know, interested in working with you, and then hopefully you can build your portfolio. Does anybody else?
I agree.
Okay.
Brittany, no, like when I'm an outsider to the whole realm. Like, I just got in here, and I literally had no clue who anyone was, and was just shooting whatever I thought like I liked, and I happened to shoot Yaya.
No, okay, wait. Kay, that was not an attack on you at all.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't want to limit people. Like, I want people to reach for their dreams and reach for their goals. I don't want to like put them in this box, right?
I know, but I think you are having slightly unrealistic expectations. Like, if you're a noob photographer or noob cosplayer, in terms of like, you know, walking up to Ben or walking up to, let's say, one of the bigger names.
Okay. So everybody has to start somewhere.
Right.
And I remember when I started, you have to just, it's all about shooting friends, starting out with shooting friends, shooting their friends, start establishing relationships with other people, and basically just socializing with groups of people to then grow yourself and take more photos. You got to start somewhere. You got to start small. And I don't know if this is answering your question, but you gotta start. And I'm not gonna call it the low end of the spectrum, but it's, you know, you gotta start with the little ones.
Yeah.
No, I think Daryl. I think that was like a really great. Actually,
I'm gonna grab one last question here. I'm gonna grab one last question here before we close up, because this one is actually something this is something I can really answer. So. Thompson Intonation asks, is there a mental process on how you choose a location? And how do you find a location for certain shoots? Are there places you know already, or how do you go find them? So I'm going to really quickly talk about how I guess work, you know. Let's say I'm at a convention, right, and I find someone that looks absolutely amazing, I want to shoot with them. what I do is I look at the colors of their costume. I look at the colors. Look at sort of the average colors I'm seeing, you know? Is it mostly blue? Is it mostly like this or that? Then I look around me. I walk around. I look around. And I see which color would really complement that color. So that's the first thing I look at. Then I make sure that whatever time they're from, it will also match. So if it's something sci-fi, I'm not going to have any trees in the background. If it's something like really old, like Renaissance shit or whatever, I'm going to make sure I have no cars and no modern stuff in the background. So that's what I do when I'm at a con. When I'm not in a con, I do heavy location research to make sure I get the best location I can possibly find. And this I do through Google Maps, just Street View, whatever, from the satellite, you know, all that stuff. So that's just how I do it. I don't know how you guys do it, so if anyone wants to jump in.
Back when I was first talking about locations, I tend to pick location before I pick a cosplayer. That's the way that I function. I do a lot of location scouting. I spend a lot of time trying to find a location, and I do exactly as Beefy says. When it comes to colors, you have to have a color mix in there with your cosplay, especially like, you know, the dark grays. You got to do a good mixing. You got to, you know, look on your color spectrums and
I'm wondering, Daryl. I'm wondering, what do cosplayers do any of you guys actually look or hunt for locations? And do you go to your photographer and go, hey, there's a spot that would really work for this costume I'm planning. Let's go here. Do you guys ever do that?
I'm going to interject here because obviously I'm raising my hand. But I'm just really passionate about capturing, you know, like the essence of my character. I'm not so much about, you know, having a gorgeous background. I mean, of course I would want it to be, but like I really just want to be the character in like the character's environment. So, for instance, like I live in a neighborhood that's on the water, and there's actually quite like a decrepit waterfront, and that's where I reached out to Anna and said, you know, I have this gorgeous like kind of eerie waterfront. Like I think it'd be great to shoot Ray, you know, where you can get like a really emotive, you know, kind of creepy breakdown, you know, that really speaks from the series. So as a cosplayer, that's really important to me, because now that I'm in this environment, you know, I can really feel like I'm portraying this character. Anybody else want to interject?
I mean, I help look for locations as much as often as my photographers do. Not all. And it depends on the photographer. Obviously, like Daryl said, when I work with him, he's already got it all planned out before I even talk to him. So, but most photographers I've worked with, they're like, hey, I want to do a shoot with you with this thing, you know, do you have something in mind? And then like we kind of go back and forth. So, I mean, we usually kind of I try to work together with a photographer about it. And like I say, like maybe like I'll have an idea or they'll have an idea. We kind of like feed off each other's ideas, kind of come to an agreement. So that's what usually I try to do. But like you said, once we have I like having a good environment for my photo shoots because I think it's really important to the overall feel of a photo. So,
collaboration.
Yes, collaboration.
Beautiful. Okay, so I think we should wrap up now.
Yeah, we're 7 minutes over.
Wait,
Yeah,
we should talk
minutes
about,
over.
is there going to be another one? When is that going to be, Brittany?
Yeah, so, I mean, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. You know, this panel came together to really address, you know, some of the negativity that's been in the community, and we are really hoping to enlighten, you know, both cosplayers and photographers from the different perspectives, because I really think the perspectives, like, are hugely different from each sides in the community. So, you know, we're really hoping to have more of these if you guys are interested, you know, covering maybe model release forms, paid photo shoots, you know, some of the more nitty-gritty. Yeah, copyright, you know, distributing prints. So I really think of this video as almost an introduction. So we're going to read through the comments you left and really take those into consideration going forward. And I'm not going to give you an exact date. You know, maybe we could do something like this weekly. I think it'd be really exciting. And the entire panel is excited for your feedback. And going forward, you know, we're hoping to address these issues, you know, as a community. Would anybody like to?
Something I want to add before we finish up here, I'm going to add, if everyone's cool with that, obviously, I'm going to add links to all our Facebook fan pages in the description of this video that you're watching right now. So if you have any questions, further questions to any of us, I mean, I'm free. If you send me any kind of question, I'll answer it pretty much straight away. And I think most people in there are pretty much have the same mindset. So
Yeah, so I mean, you're
I am actually going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes on the chat because there are a ton of questions in the
A
chat.
lot of unanswered, really good questions.
Yeah,
A lot of
I'm
really,
going to
really
spend
good
a little bit
questions.
of time and type some up for you guys. So
I also want to say thank you to everyone who came down and watched.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh my God.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. So that's it.
Am I waiting too?
I'll be ending the broadcast now. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.